Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, Registrar General extends deadline for filing annual returns by additional 6 months. We'll tell you more about the adjustments being made during this pandemic. Also coming up, Bank of Ghana sets new directives to deal with surge in mobile money fraud. And is e-commerce a new haven for tax avoidance? We'll hear from the Ghana Union of Traders Association, which is urging the Ghana Revenue Authority to expand the tax net. Thanks for being with us once again. Details right after this break. Now, let's begin with our first story. The Registrar General has extended the deadline for all category of companies to file annual returns by an additional 6 months, with the new date being the end of December. The extension is to allow some flexibility during this period of the pandemic. In a statement, the Registrar General also waived proposed increase in penalty for delayed filings that were initially proposed. So here's what you need to know. The deadline for the filing of annual returns and renewal of partnerships and businesses from the 31st of July to December 31, 2020 for all companies limited by shares, by guarantee, including churches, associations, and external companies, has been extended. There will not also be a penalty increase from 400 Ghana cedis to 450 Ghana cedis from the 3rd of August 2020, as initially communicated. The statement goes on to say the department has introduced or has decided to introduce a coupon system for all their services offered at the front office by 200 clients daily, effective Wednesday, 15th of July 2020. It says its officers will issue coupons to clients on first-come, first-served basis daily throughout the working hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if for any reason one is not served on a particular day within the first 200 numbers, they can come over the next day with their ticket to be served. It also is informing the public that the department has not authorized anybody to demand mobile money payment for either filing of annual returns or renewal of businesses. The Registrar General's department does not have a mobile money account, it says. And let's just go through. Finally, the department has not appointed any registration agents to visit offices and homes to enforce compliance. There is no cancellation unit at the Registrar General's department mandated to call clients to file returns. The legal and audit units at the Registrar General's department has not been taxed to strike out any company or businesses. Renewal for business name is 25 cedis for each year, it says, and this service does not attract any penalty, and filing of annual returns for all companies attracts a fee of 50 cedis. Now, clients are advised to desist from using middlemen when transacting business with the Registrar General's department. So that is the statement from the Registrar General's department, essentially saying that there is an extension of the date for the filing of annual returns. It was supposed to be on the 31st of July, the end of this month. It has been extended to December 31. That's the latest step. Subsequently, we are hoping to engage the Registrar General's department for more of this. You're watching The Marketplace. Let's take next our big take for today.
Businesses are turning to online platforms for various transactions. The coronavirus pandemic, though disrupting business activity, has created a huge demand for e-commerce, which today accounts for only 80% of business activity in the SME sector. Unfortunately, there is no data tracking system by the GRA to tax business activities online. President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Dr. Joseph Obin, sees this avenue as a smart way by many to dodge tax payment. He tells Joy Business Ghana's revenue targets can be exceeded this year if the tax net is spread to include all transactions in the e-commerce sector.
E-commerce is coming strongly to overtake most of the physical trading that we do. And government having looked at that side, especially in the wake of the COVID, where physical movement of people, the people are transacting through the internet and all that, and a huge volume of goods are being sold there. Government should quickly go there, find ways to register those people who do all this trade. Register them for payment of duties, VAT, and what have you, all the taxes. A whole lot of people are dodging the tax payment through the system. And it's developing very fast and it's developing very huge. Government has not looked in that direction. Government should henceforth take, once we are going to read the new budget and all that, I'm expecting the government to sit down with stakeholders, find ways, because it's electronically. Electronic programs begat electronic solution. How are you going to make sure that any transaction is also captured electronically? Are we going to have a server that any transaction will be captured on, so that GRA can monitor this transaction that is the emerging trend?
The GRA has been engaging Ministry of Finance to set a new lower revenue target for the year 2020 as COVID-19 disrupts the economy. As the internet becomes a hub for brisk online business, the GRA is pressed with the challenge of tracking down these business activity to ensure that all forms of e-commerce are duly taxed.
I promise you we'll bring you a quick take subsequently in the bulletin, but that was a report showing that the Ghana Union of Traders Association wants the tax net expanded to cover businesses in the e-commerce sector. Apparently, they're avoiding taxes, but there are a lot of people transacting business there during this time of the pandemic. So that report we brought to you. Let's move on to the Bank of Ghana, which has issued a new set of guidelines to help deal with the surge in mobile money fraud that has hit some banks and financial institutions. The monthly fraud report showed that these institutions are falling victim to the practice. George Rafe has more.
A letter to all the financial institutions in the country from the Bank of Ghana revealed that most of the firms have been hit by some serious mobile money fraud from the first quarter of this year. The surge in this practice has resulted in a lot of banks falling victim. The report, for instance, recounts some of these practices, which includes a bank staff receiving a call from someone claiming to be an employee of a telco that has been trained to reverse these transactions on the mobile money account. So as part of the process, the bank staff is asked to enter some codes on the mobile money platforms. Interestingly, the codes are entered leading to debiting that bank. The development has forced the Bank of Ghana to issue a new set of regulations to all players in the financial sector. The first directive is that all staff of the various financial institutions and the banks should be made aware of these kinds of fraud, according to the Bank of Ghana. No staff, according to the central bank, should be allowed to single-handedly reverse mobile money transaction. At least 2 should be preferable. This staff, the regulator believes, should be from management level. Banking officials that handle these transactions must be instructed that they deal directly with a representative from the head office of these telecom companies. The Bank of Ghana, in a letter to all the institutions, argued that these instructions are not cast in stone and will be reviewed when it matters, looking at the current environment. Well, based on this letter, it looks like the mobile money fraud has moved beyond these fraudsters just calling on suspected individuals to commercial banks and other financial institutions. With all their internal checks and compliance issues, they are even falling victim to these practices.
While the new directive from the Bank of Ghana is coming as the country sees an increase in e-crimes or cyber crimes, here's National Cybersecurity Advisor Dr. Albert Ntuboisiako sounding the warning.
At the national level, there is a gap we need to address, and the minister has raised serious concern, especially in the era of COVID-19. Ghana risks serious, challenge. There's a serious risk exposure to businesses, to government data, to our digital infrastructure, if we do not scale up our readiness to protect our critical national information infrastructure. And during the lockdown, the only mechanism that allowed us to engage was on digital platforms, right? In fact, that shows the uniqueness, the fact that digital platform now is just, a key mechanism by which life, both productive and even social lives can be achieved. And let's build certain linkages with COVID-19. COVID-19 is a biological virus, okay? And the same way we have in a computing virus, with what is happening, we shouldn't be surprised if one day we wake up and there is a computer virus which has shut down our critical information infrastructure. I'm saying this based on empirical evidence. I think June last year, a city of Johannesburg suffered a ransomware attacks that shut down the supply of their power. And those are typical examples. That was specifically to Joburg. But what about, imagine the scale of such attacks on a national infrastructure? And these things have happened before. Ukrainian power systems have been compromised. Romania, their revenue management system, compromised. And that is a real concern that we have as a country. And I think we call on, it's a collective work that we need to do. But of course, government is leading that challenge in terms of revising the policy, in terms of introducing legislation that will incentivize, but also compel businesses, to improve their information security programs across board.
Right, so that was Dr. Ntwi there, National Cybersecurity Advisor. Let's get some more on this. Joining me is Adam Gleiman, who is Head of Cybersecurity at Global Secure Solutions. Great that you can join us this afternoon. The whole of last week, we've been talking about the fact that businesses are going virtual because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, if you listen to Dr. Ntwi there, we are not dealing with this biological thing, the COVID-19 virus, but it appears that we could be dealing with viruses in electronic stuff as well. What is the nature of these attacks he's warning about?
So, pleasure to be here anyway. Since the pandemic, you've seen that people are now working from home. That has changed the dynamic of how organizations are working. Amidst that, you've seen a spike in malware, in ransomware. Since March, which was really when the lockdown was effected globally, you've seen that there was about 30,000 plus phishing domains that were registered, which are the same medium that would be used to deliver these kinds of malware and ransomware attacks. You're also seeing an uptick in fake banking apps, banking Trojans, and you're seeing also vulnerabilities that are being exploited in VPNs, because VPNs are the natural way that organizations use to enable their staff to access their systems remotely. So these are some of the trends that we've seen, as well as a huge uptick in phishing emails as well.
So how can businesses, individuals protect themselves?
So now corporate organizations need to take a more stronger look at governance, risk and compliance measures, such as complying with the Cyber and Information Security Directive from the Bank of Ghana, as well as other external regulatory and legal frameworks. We need to start learning how to operationalize the way that we monitor and respond to cybersecurity threats. Another thing which is very, very critical is in this era is to integrate threat intelligence with cybersecurity operations, where organizations can be forewarned of attacks that are happening and then update their defenses to withstand such attacks. This can only be achieved by information sharing against companies within the similar industry or industry verticals. Another thing that is really critical when you think about the widening skills gap is cybersecurity training. This is very essential for cybersecurity leadership teams and organizations, as well as end users like you and I, who need to be aware of like social media fraud or impersonation, how to look at and identify a phishing email or social engineering and stuff like that. Compliance is also very, very critical because it helps organizations to tighten the security controls, which are helpful to preventing or slowing down these attackers when they strike organizations. Also, another risk when you look at what happens naturally in an economic downturn is an increase in insider threats. So organizations need to be able to tighten controls within the organization so that individuals cannot identify loopholes and perform unauthorized activity on their corporate systems. I think these are some of the things that we need to really look at. As well, you also see that because of the pandemic and the lockdown, the idea of a traditional workplace is also kind of dissolving, okay? So you're going to have more people working from home. You're going to have more adoption to cloud strategy where corporates are migrating their workloads into the cloud. So We need to start thinking about how do we protect our corporate assets in a very fast changing, dynamic environment. These are some of the things which I think are very key right now to responding to threat actors. Let me just give you some of the statistics.
If you can do that in 30 seconds, our time is almost up.
Okay, so Kenya lost about $297 million in a cybersecurity attack recently. In West Africa, countries like Ghana, Congo, Cameroon, Senegal are also very, very, very exposed to attackers. And these guys are very sophisticated and are posing a massive threat to core banking systems, SWIFT systems. And so it's something that we need to take very, very seriously.
All right. I appreciate your thoughts this afternoon. Adam Glyman, Head of Cybersecurity at Global Secure Solutions. Appreciate it. You're watching The Marketplace. Time now, as I promised, to bring you a quick take.
As we speak today, Aviance is a company in which Ghana Airport Company has got shares. The passenger clearance company, strategic partner in a way. Swissport is a strategic partner, but the airport company has given them the land, and they've got shares in there. Nobody has talked about that. Has taken over Ghana Airport Company. They have not come to say we are replacing the MD and senior staff. Swissport is there, Aviance is there. The operating Ghana Airport Company will get their dividends or whatever else is due them. These are examples of what we can improve upon. What was done with Aviance, with Swissport, is experience for us now to improve on what we need to do with a new partner, who should bring a lot more investment than what we got from Aviance or Swissport.
The future of the Kotoka International Airport, that was our quick take this Monday afternoon. Now, the Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Elizabeth Afulikwe, has revealed that this year's closed fish season has been suspended. A stakeholder engagement for action was stalled because of COVID-19 restrictions. Now, Madame Afulikwe revealed this in Tema when her ministry took delivery of 1,300 outboard motors worth 20 million cedis from ADB. More in this report from Kwame Yanka.
There are over 10,000 motorized canoes operating from over 300 landing beaches across the country. These motorized canoes constitute majority of operational canoes in the country and account for the bulk of marine fish production. Minister Elizabeth Afulikwe says it is important to make inputs readily available to fishers at affordable prices. One of such is the provision of outboard motors by Fisheries Ministry and Coastal Development Authority at 50% discount. The 1,300 outboard motors costing 20 million Ghana cedis make up the first batch out of expected 5,000 outboard motors. She says stakeholders in the industry can continue with their activities for the year as the ban on fishing is suspended.
You're watching The Marketplace. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Marketplace. A few months ago, we started a very promising campaign that is to get us all to eat local rice. Earlier, I engaged the head of the National Food Buffer Stock Company on the progress we've made so far.
The campaign of Eat Ghana Rice has really gone far, and we have achieved our aim, and our farmers are very, very happy because sometimes what deters them from producing is lack of market. You remember this issue of Fumbisi somewhere, I think last year, when farmers complained of lack of market. Quickly, we have been able to move to the field and mobilize all the paddy rice to various mills around. Everything was milled and supplied to the second cycle institutions within that area. And so far, so good. Acceptability is very, very good. The rate of acceptability is good, and we are very happy with how things are going with the Eat the Rice campaign. The Minister for Food and Agriculture and the government, for that matter, are very proud of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. And we have seen significant increment in the rice production, especially with the improved seed that the ministry have given to the farmers to use. That improved variety has a high germination percentage that farmers themselves were very surprised of the output when they planted it.
And that's the marketplace this afternoon. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwao.